Hello everyone, welcome to the series premiere, or season premiere I should say, of Stronger by Community. This is season 4, and wow, first of all, before I bring Steph on, who's my guest today, I just want to say I cannot believe I'm already in season 4. So excited for what this new season is about to bring. Maybe I'll even have like some kind of fun intro by the end of the season. So for now, just in the comments, if you want to let me know what my intro song for this community interview series should be, just use your imagination and drop it in the comments. But I just want to tell you guys real quick about Steph and what we're going to be talking about today. So, although it might make you guys sad, we are not talking about the name Steph, which we both share. We are going to be talking about how sometimes as business owners and as moms, I'm not a mom yet, but Steph is, and just, going through life, we like to tell ourselves, I don't have enough time, or I don't have enough energy, or I don't have the right resources to do X. But we're going to bust that belief for you guys and talk to you guys about how limited resources does not have to limit you. It can actually be a good thing. And Steph is the freaking expert on this. So let's go ahead and bring her on. And as we're talking, feel free to let us know in the comments where you are tuning in from, whether you have a business. Hey,
Hi.
how are you?
Good. A little disappointed we're not talking about why Steph is amazing.
I mean, it's literally the best name. So if any of you guys are having kids or thinking about it, make sure to add Steph to your list of potential names because being a Steph is like a game changer.
It really, really is.
Oh my God, we sound like assholes, but I love it. We're really not that stuck up, guys. I promise. Or are we? Um. Anyway, Steph, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell everyone what you're all about, what you're doing here online, all the things.
Yep. Okay, so I'm Steph. I'm from Spruce Acres Homestead. I teach women, I teach moms how to go backwards in time and learn the skills that our great grandparents had. So things like growing your own food, preserving it, foraging, using natural remedies, making your own products, living within your means, creating that abundance so you can have time freedom with your kids. Like you have this much more simplified lifestyle
Hmm.
that so many of us desire. And over the last 2 years, we've kind of seen the value in it,
Right.
where you're back within that community, back within your family, back being able to take care of your basic needs and not feel like you're giving your power to somebody else. So I love teaching that, and a big part of that is being able to live your life with, limited means.
Absolutely. And like, so by limited, I'm like, can you define what you mean by limited in this space? Because I think that a lot of the times we like to tell ourselves, I'm limited and that's a bad thing, or I'm limited and that's why I can't do X. But I think today we're going to reframe that word a little bit because limited doesn't have to be so negative. It can actually be a good thing. So what do you mean by limited?
So often, like if you think back to your great grandparents, what did your great grandparents have or not have that you have today? So when we think of, our lives are actually quite abundant in the physical luxury items, let's call them. We
Right.
have a lot of it. We also have a lot more time. We have a lot more money than when you think back then. So when I say like limited resources, it's more that mindset that we have in terms of looking at what people had historically versus what we have now.
Right. Right. I mean, just as you're thinking about, as you're saying this, I'm thinking about my great grandmother. She passed away at 107, so last year. Um, And I remember her telling me, oh, when I was your age, when I was 30 years old, my apartment in New York City was $100 a month. And I was like, what? Like, that is wild. But like, at the same time, money back then went a lot further. So it's so interesting. Like, they didn't have a washing machine. She was in her 30s in like 1940 something. But like we have so many creature comforts, and yet like we have so much more time to like just chill and go on a live together and do whatever we want to do. And yet somehow I feel like we have less time than our grandparents. So what's going on here?
It's very true. We have a lot more creature comforts. We have a lot more convenience items,
Mm-hmm.
which is where we've become, my phone's ringing. I just got a little distracted. um, we've become complacent. Like we've become, not willing to put in the hard work because we don't see it as being necessary anymore. We have an instant pot. We have instant coffee, like a Keurig machine. We have hours that we can just spend scrolling social media. And it
Right.
becomes so easy because we have a phone in our hands that we can then call anybody or reach anybody or look anything up instantly. Whereas before, you'd have to go to books, or you'd have to go to like the old rotary phone, or you'd have to wait until somebody came home in order to answer the phone. Like there's a
Right.
lot. The instant part has made us, I can't think of
Inca-
the word right now. Pardon?
incapable. I don't know.
It really has. Like we've um everything is so instant, and so we can instantly go to creature comforts and not put in the work, not take the extra 10 steps to heat something up on the stove versus tossing it in the microwave or whatever. We're just so lazy. Really, like we're
Right.
so lazy. And so we think that we're always in this place of lack because it's not right there. It's not
Right.
right there. I can grab it. We've forgotten how to think, how to actually see resources and then utilize them. So when you start to shift your mindset, so much more abundance comes to you. And even if you may have limited time and limited money, because those are real things,
Right.
how you actually utilize those things can create massive amounts of abundance because you're no longer reaching for convenience. So it's a really, when you look at it differently and you start to become more aware, bring it into that awareness, you find so much more time and money and ability to get stuff done.
Right. Absolutely. You're preaching to the choir. So, all right. So I'm going to throw a couple of questions for you. Some questions that people in the chat or people watching the replay might be thinking. Because a lot of them might be looking at you and thinking, okay, Steph, like, you're preaching about time and money and how I can make it more abundant and make it work for me. But like, I just have so much on my plate. Like, I just have, a job and I have children. And how can I possibly use my time better? I'm doing everything I can. So what would you say to that?
I think the biggest thing is take stock of your time. The things that you're doing, are they actually of value to you, or are you filling it with things that you're supposed to do? That is a big thing in today's society, especially if you have kids. There's a lot of societal norms that don't actually benefit your life. I mean, it's all perspective, but when it really comes down to it, what is it you value? Do you value time being spent with your family, sitting around the table and having family meals? Is that something that you value, or is that something that you desire? It can start with as simple as, okay, go get a takeout meal or whatever, but sit down and eat it at the table and start those conversations. Take the 30 minutes to sit down and do that. Or like, you really want to take stock of your time. What do you do after your kids go to bed? Do you sit like immediately go in and like turn on Netflix? Or do you spend the time reading a chapter in a book that you always wanted to do? Or do
Right.
you take minutes and get the dishes done and things cleaned up so you feel a little bit better? Do you take 5 minutes and write down, a journal of your day? Like we often think that things are going to take more time than they actually do. But the thing is, you do a little bit, and then a little bit more, and then a little
Right.
bit more. It's just how you're looking at your time. So if you look at your day, even starting with just your morning or your work break or whatever, what things can you drop?
Right.
Are they actually necessary? Can you shorten the amount of time that you're doing them? So, for example, watching TV. Do you usually spend 3 hours watching TV, decompressing from your day? Can you shorten that to, I'm just going to watch one show. I'm going to, an hour. I'm going to choose a show. That's what I'm going to watch. And I'm going to lift my butt off that couch and break that habit cycle? So you want to just assess. Take that first assessment and what can you do differently? What little thing can you do differently? All of us feel that lack of time. All of us feel that lack of money. It's normal,
Right.
especially if you have kids. They're on you. You always feel, or you feel a lack of presentness because you're running to so many things. So just taking that moment to assess what is it you're filling your time with, and is it actually of value,
Right.
makes a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, I'm the queen of watching, I love my Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And like, if you're asking me, do I really need to watch that? My answer is yes. Like, it makes me feel better about myself. But, which is sad. Um, However, that said, I'm not going to tell you I don't have time to do X, Y, and Z. I value that experience, as trashy and embarrassing as it is. I value just watching these people look like fools and complain, and I enjoy that. So there's literally no shame if any of you are sitting here saying, like, I value, like, my time spent in front of the TV. Okay, fine. You value that. You value your entertainment. But if you are looking at this little exercise that we're giving you and saying, oh, okay, like, that actually is not really how I want to be spending my time, then just get conscious of that.
Yeah, that is huge. It was 2, 3 years ago, I think, where I said I got conscious of it, of how much time I was spending in front of the TV, and the end of the day comes, the kids are in bed, it's just like you just want to plop down and do that decompression, and before you know it, it's hours, and then you're pushing your bedtime to watch the next thing and the next thing. And I said, like, no, there's so many things that I want to do with my life. There's things that I wish I was spending my time on, but I just found it hard to get off the couch. So
Right.
what I did is, I'm very much like a rip off the Band-Aid person. So I said to myself, no, I'm not watching TV anymore, like, for a month. And
Right.
so I wrote a list of things I wanted to do instead. And oh my God, I can't remember the book, but there is a book about habits. Can't even remember the guy's name, but it's so good. It's so good. If anybody knows it, if anybody remembers it, it's a book about habits, and it's brilliant. And it talks about the routines. So breaking the routine. If you drive home and you pass McDonald's every day and you then stop in to get McDonald's, take a different route home. Like, break that. So what I did is, when I would put my kids to bed and I'd walk through the living room and, like, there's the couch, I would keep walking. I would literally force myself to walk past the room, and then I would have a book sitting in the kitchen right there, ready for me. And I'd pick it up and I'd go sit in a different chair in a different room.
I
And
like
I'd read
that.
the book. Like, I'd break the cycle with little things that I wish I was doing. And
Right.
before I knew, I'd passed the month. I went to a year. I went to 2 years. And what I actually did to add back in is I didn't watch TV anymore, but I had a favorite show, Outlander. I got it on DVD And that's what I would go and watch whenever, I wanted to every once in a while. Like I could just throw on something. I didn't have to finish a whole episode. And I actually found that I didn't like watching TV anymore. It just felt like a waste of time. But that's what I did. Same thing with social media. I literally threw my phone out. I deleted all my apps, everything. Right. And I threw my phone in a cupboard for like 8 months just to break that cycle and create more awareness around it. And it helped me prioritize what was good for me, what I valued, and finding things I valued more. Like I valued reading more than relaxing on the couch. Like I wanted the relaxation, I wanted the decompression. That's what I valued. Right. And I chose to do it via the book, more than the TV. So it really helped me see how much you can do in a very short period of time. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15. Like you are in the bathroom, your kids are pounding on the door, like you're hiding in the closet, all those things. Right. To get things done, to like your limited resources are what you're choosing to spend your time on. Everybody has the same 24 hours. Right. And like, as you're saying this, I mean, I'm thinking about, my recent decision to stop drinking alcohol. I love drinking. Like I feel like I'm sounding like such a trashy idiot right now. I'm like, I love Real Housewives. I love alcohol. Whatever. But I do love all those things. But I knew that I put on a lot of weight this year, and I really value my health and fitness. And by drinking, I was just kind of throwing all of the work that I was doing in the gym, all the work that I was doing with like tracking my macros and watching what I was eating. Every time I drank, I was throwing all that progress in the garbage, and I was just gaining weight anyway. So I've decided that for probably the rest of this year, I'm not going to be drinking. And in one freaking month, 1 month, I've lost 10 pounds. Like just from not drinking a couple days a week. And that's not to say that I gave up my time with my friends. Like I have a very, very active social life. And I still go for dinner. I still go for happy hour, and I drink like club soda with lime juice and tell myself it's alcohol. But there's so much stuff that you can do, and there's so many little habits that you can change, and you notice that like if you just stick to it and you really stick to what you value rather than focus on what you're giving up, then you can absolutely get everything done that you desire. Like I'm going to lose another 12 pounds in the next 30 days. I know that now, because I know that I'm not even tempted to drink because I have 30 days behind me. And I'm not an alcoholic by any means. I don't think so. I don't believe I am. But part of going out in my 20s is definitely involves a lot of drinking, And I value that. I value my time with my friends, but I don't have to drink to have a good time, I guess. And I value, how I feel about my body and how I feel about my fitness and my health more so than I value having a drink just to fit in. I can fit right in without a drink. It's totally, you essentially looked at that situation, and it wasn't about the alcohol. You enjoyed going out with your friends. The alcohol, it played a very small part. So you could replace that with something else and still have the same experience, you gained more than you lost. Exactly. So it's similar to, at the end of the day, I just want to decompress. Like I want to shut off my brain. I want to, just become a blub. I can do that with a book. Right, and you're moving yourself forward. Exactly, and it doesn't cloud my brain, like where TV does, where you're just like, you just can't think, and then you're bombarded with commercials or whatever, or the next show, and then your sleeping habits are off, and like there's just so many things when it comes to TV and social media that they play on our human needs.
Right.
Like that, literally, that's how they're designed. And like they are fully, transparent with that, that they utilize our worst features as a human being to create that connection and like that addiction that we have. So really, looking at your time, and I know you and I have talked so many times about how the heck I get so much done. Like as a mom and doing a lot of homesteading things, I don't have internet. Like really, we have 50 gigs of internet per month, and just with social media alone, you can max that out in like a week. But I have an online business, and it's just really how I prioritize and only do the things that are necessary.
Absolutely.
You're not wasting your time spinning your wheels, and you're trying to do something, and then you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going down this and this and this and this. Like that point where you start to feel stuck. It's like, no, what is the bare minimum? I only have 15 minutes to get this done. What do I have to do? Like you really prioritize what matters, what actually matters to you to get it done versus just filling your time.
Right. And yeah, I mean, somebody in the comments, Catherine, said all comes back to the do not do list. We are used to putting things on the plate, which bring us further from our goals. But I feel like your lack of internet and your very limited time where you have internet available, from what you've told me about your habits and all the things that you do, when you have 15 minutes of internet, like, you're not wasting your time like most people do scrolling on Instagram. You are maybe working on your next email or working on a training for your course, which, I mean, so many of us take internet for granted, and I have internet and I freaking waste so much time doing bullshit. But you don't have that luxury, but in a way it's moved you so much further than those who do.
Yeah, it's very much, we have too much.
Right.
We have too much of everything that we don't value it. It's so easy for us to go to the store, like go to IKEA and get a brand new table. If your table ends up getting scratched because your kids aren't taking care of it or whatever, like we don't value things in the same way that our grandparents and our great-grandparents did, because for them, they understood what went into it. They understood how much time or how much money or whatever. But nowadays we have too much accessible to us, and therefore the quality is also less, because everything is so disposable. Right. So don't get me wrong, I will scroll. There are times when I will, but I become aware of it, and I also recognize that when I do waste my time scrolling, that eats up my internet, which means I have even less, and I then have to go, outside of my home in order to do more, like do the things that I was supposed to do. So that's even more of my time, and then that's gas and, arranging stuff.
Right.
So really bringing it back to what is of value, what are you spending your time and resources on, and is it quality? Like, is it something you actually want to do? I mean, I have limited time, I have limited resources, I have kids, I have, like there's money and budget and all of that kind of stuff. It's just really looking at what do you have available to you, and are you utilizing it appropriately? Just because it's abundant doesn't mean that it needs to be used. But your time is not abundant. We are not guaranteed tomorrow. So maximizing today is huge.
Right.
There's making that awareness, bringing it to light, and making those shifts is big.
Right. And then I love that you pointed that out, that time is the one thing that's not abundant, and yet we waste so much of it. Like, it's unbelievable. And one of the biggest changes that I've finally started to step into this year is, for the longest time, I thought money was the most finite thing. If I spend this, then I'm not going to have money for that. Like, no, money is actually, once you know how to like replenish it, is the most replenishable thing that we have. So when we start to step into that understanding, um, we start to like utilize our time better. We kind of realize that like obviously we don't want to spend thousands of dollars on bullshit that we don't need. That's a whole other topic. But um but like
I
we
was so
start
thinking that. Like, oh, this is another topic we can talk about.
right, let's add it to our growing list of hundreds of topics that we're gonna go live about. Anyway, like I just think that a lot of us take our time for granted. And I think that when you really start to reframe your mind and start to think like, if I were to get hit by a bus in an hour from now, well, maybe that's a little bit too aggressive, in a day from now, up to this point, was I living my life exactly as I want to? Like, would people look at my life and say, oh my God, that girl did so much incredible stuff? Or would they look at my life and say, wow, she was a blob who sat in front of the TV all day?
It's true.
Right.
It's so true.
And get really
Like,
honest with yourself. You don't have to share it with the world the way we are. We're being very open and vulnerable right now. But like,
yeah.
if you can honestly say like that you have a million and one things that you've been wanting to do, but you haven't done, ask yourself, what am I doing instead of those things?
hmm It's very true. And corporations, they understand that most people have no idea how to replenish money. Like you and I know the secret on that. But most people have this idea because it's ingrained into us from a very young age that money is limited. It's
Right.
perpetuated. So they take our money, under the guise of giving us more time. The instant pot, the Keurig, the convenience, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they know that our time is our most valuable resource. And if they can keep us as blubs, not our purpose, that makes life easier for them because they have, all the time they want, they get it, and they have our money, and we basically are sad and depressed and feeling the struggle at home.
Right.
And that is a big thing. But when you really start to look at it and go, where am I spending my time? Quite honestly, most of us are going to be in front of a screen these days.
Right.
And just looking at what is of value. If you do die in an hour, what would you do in that hour? Would you call up your best friend? Would you go for drinks? Would you, spend more time with your kids? Who cares about how clean your house is?
Right.
But, there's just so much of, yes, there are things that you need to do. You should clean your house once a week or at least keep it tidy and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But you don't need to obsess over as much of little things that we do. So really finding that what is of value, what really matters, what are people going to remember, you by? Are they going to remember that, I don't know, we're on TikTok videos or whatever. What are they going to really remember you by? What are your kids going to remember you by?
Right.
All of that stuff is just assessing that and also giving yourself grace. I love, especially for moms, there's a meme or something or a little commercial or whatever. The mom feels like she's having a crap day, and then they do it from the kid's view, where like the mom is loving on the kid has the best day ever, and all of that. So just understanding that even though sometimes you feel like you're juggling so many things, when you put your kids first and you're like loving on them and kissing them and telling them how much you love them and how great they are and whatever, paying attention to them a little bit here and there, they see that.
Oh, yeah.
And really like looking at your time. It is your most valuable resource and it is the most precious commodity. And you can do so much in just 5 minutes.
Oh my
much
God.
in just
It's
5 minutes.
exactly. And it so much doesn't necessarily mean like you have to like, be 100% on in those 5 minutes. Like something as simple as like, like every morning my husband and I wake up and we cuddle for like 10 minutes. And I know it sounds so silly, but it's so cute. And it's like, it's such a sweet little time that's like so sacred for us in the mornings. Um, and, you know, would my day really change if I was 10 minutes earlier to the gym? No. But I get to start my day snuggling with the person I love the most in the world. And that to me is, I'm still half asleep. I'm like babbling about whatever I have to do for the day, but we're still spending time together. And I think that's like the most, the biggest thing. And it really sets the tone for our day. I get to start my day hearing that somebody loves me and somebody is excited for me to come home later. So
Yeah.
it's all about the little habits, even if it's, spending 5 minutes with your kids, like telling them how awesome they are. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah. When we say even limited resources, your resources are not limited. It's how you're using them.
right.
Like how you are actually using them. Is it of value to you? 5 minutes might seem like nothing to you. Like it might seem like, I'm not giving enough to my kids and therefore I feel like I'm sucking as a parent. But those 5 dedicated minutes to your kid mean the world. For them, it's like 5 hours. It's just, mama was there and mama was
Right.
reading stories to me, or she was playing this game or listening to my story or whatever. It's not limited. It's how you
Right.
are using it and the value that you are providing in that. And looking at what you can do with your time and again resources that you have. You don't need a whole bunch of money or a whole bunch of time in order to get a little bit further on your goals. All of those things add up as long as you're choosing what is of value to you and
Right.
prioritizing for five
Right.
minutes each.
Right. And just to give you guys an example, like another example from a business perspective too, I work a corporate job, right? And, if you asked me 6 months ago, what do you do during your lunch break for your business? I'd probably say, oh, like I work on my next email or I work on, my next Instagram post. Now like as I'm getting clearer on my business, I'm realizing that the most valuable use of my time is talking to people like Steph on my lunch break. I'm using a free app, Instagram, to record this, and I'm sitting at the park. There's no money involved, but I'm giving you guys more value than I could ever give you if I sat and typed out some random post. So focus on what matters to you. When I realized that what matters to me is good conversation and elevating the voices of ordinary people, that's my new tagline. That's what I started using my time to do. That's what matters. And if I can't do anything else this week on social media or for my business, I did the thing that was the most important to me without spending a penny. So ask yourself, okay, yeah, like I've got a crazy busy schedule. I've got kids. I work at a corporation. Well, if you can find 1 hour a week to do one thing for your business, what would it be? Do you really have to spend hundreds of dollars, or can you do it using the resources that you have? And chances are, if you really dig deep, you can.
Yeah. And a big thing is all that like tech stuff that we think of, creating products and landing pages and all of that. Most of that doesn't matter. It's all about the connection and the service and the value that you are providing to people. So if you put that as a priority, everything else, it happens eventually, but you're really growing by doing that connection and being of service to people. So I love that example.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I can't believe that I don't even know how long it's been, but I think it's been because we were a little bit late. Time zones. No, that's not your fault. I'm always late, so I get it. Uh, as
I
we're
even
talking about time. So I think it's been more than 30 minutes, but just real quick to wrap up, how can people work with you? Tell them about hashtag TFSM.
Don't look at the hashtag.
Yeah, just don't look at the hashtag. I'm gonna tag it, but don't click it.
Yeah, we'll address that later. Um, so how can you work with me? If you are somebody that wants to detach yourself from the system, you want to go back to the basics, you want to learn how to grow your own food, preserve it, forage, take care of your family, and you're feeling overwhelmed, where the heck do you start? And there's just so much out there, then you need to get in touch with me because I have a ridiculous program that gives you the foundational skills you need to go from that overwhelmed beginner to actually feeling confident, in control, and prepared when it comes to your self-sufficiency and detaching from the system. So shoot me a DM, spruce.acres.homestead, and come follow me and just jump into my inbox and say hi. It's so much fun to connect with people, and I want to know more about you.
Yes, I love that. And just I gotta say, Steph is such an amazing person. I've loved our friendship, and it's not just because we share a name, I swear. um, Although that is how we connected. Um, so yeah, Steph is awesome. Definitely reach out to her. And then just for all of you guys who are watching, if you have got an amazing story to share, a unique perspective, something that you want to challenge me about or debate with me about, or just something that you want to share, I don't care how like mundane or whatever you think it is in your head. I think it's extraordinary, and I want to share what you have to say with my community. So make sure to apply to be a guest on Stronger by Community. I think that I have almost all the episode slots for this season filled out, but it's an ongoing show, shall we call it. So the link is in my bio if you want to apply. It takes like 3 minutes to apply. So I'd love to have you on. And I love you guys so much. And this episode will be available on Instagram for a while because it's the first one. Um, you can watch it on Instagram or YouTube. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And if you have any questions for Steph, definitely let us know. All
Okay,
right.
thanks.
Bye. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. Bye.